Okay, let's talk about Austin real estate. For years, it's been, well, a total frenzy, right? Bidding wars, prices going through the roof. It was a wild ride. But things are starting to look a little different, a little more balanced. So what does this new reality actually look like? Let's get into it.
And that brings us to the big question, the one that's on pretty much everyone's mind in Austin. Is the housing frenzy finally over? You know, whether you're trying to buy, thinking about selling, or just watching from the sidelines, you want to know what's really going on.
Well, the short answer? Yeah. A big, resounding yes. It looks like the chaos is behind us, and a new, much more balanced market is here. So what does that actually mean for you? Let's dig into the first thing everyone asks about, home prices.
Right. So when we talk about prices, I think everyone's first thought is, did the bubble burst? Is it crashing? But when you look at the data, the story it tells isn't really a crash at all. It's more of a much-needed cool down.
Okay, check out this number, a 21.5% drop. I mean, that's a huge number, no doubt about it. It represents a massive correction from the absolute peak of the frenzy back in 2022. And yeah, for buyers, this has opened up a whole new world of possibilities. But, and this is important, don't let this one single number fool you. There's a lot more to the story.
And this is where things get really interesting. If you look at the numbers, you'll see that even though the average home value is down, the median sold price, that's the price right in the middle of all the homes that actually sold, it's actually up a little bit year over year. So what does that tell us? It tells us we are definitely not in a free fall. The market is stabilizing, it's finding its footing at a new and frankly more sustainable price point.
So the natural question is, why? What's causing this big shift? Well, it all comes down to that classic economic dance of supply and demand. And let me tell you, both sides of that equation have changed dramatically.
So let's start with supply. Right now, as we speak, there are over 14,000 homes for sale in the Austin area. That's a 13% jump from last year. What that really means is, for the first time in what feels like forever, buyers actually have a ton of options to choose from. And if you want a visual of that change, this chart basically says it all. Think about it. At the peak of the frenzy, we had just about a month and a half of housing inventory. That's it. Now, we're looking at almost 6 months' worth. This right here is the #1 reason why the power has swung from the sellers back to the buyers.
And just so we're all on the same page here, when we say months of inventory, what we're talking about is a really key metric. It's basically how long it would take to sell every single home on the market right now if nothing new was listed. And that 4 to 6 month range, that's considered the sweet spot for a healthy, balanced market, which, you guessed it, is exactly where Austin is sitting right now. Okay, so with all these houses on the market, you might be thinking, does this mean nobody's buying? But that's not it at all. As mortgage rates have started to stabilize a bit, we're actually seeing pending sales go up. Demand hasn't vanished, not by a long shot. It's just, well, it's become more rational. And that's the key piece that's keeping the market from crashing.
So when you put all of this together, it adds up to a completely new world for home buyers in Austin. Seriously, the power has officially shifted. Buyers are back in the driver's seat.
I mean, remember those days when you basically had to make an offer on a house the second you walked in the door? Yeah, those days are long gone. Now, the average home sits on the market for 76 days. 76! That gives you over 2.5 months to actually find the right place, do your homework, and make a really smart decision without all that pressure. And if you need more proof that buyers have the upper hand, here it is. On average, homes are selling for less than 93% of their original asking price. That gap, that 7.7%, that is your negotiation power. That's room to get a better deal, something that was, let's be honest, completely impossible just a couple years ago. So what's the bottom line for you if you're a buyer? Well, it means bidding wars are pretty much a thing of the past. It means you can actually negotiate on price. And maybe most importantly, it means you have time. Time to get inspections, to think things over, and to make sure you're making the right choice without that crazy fear of missing out.
Okay, so that's where we are now. But what about the road ahead? What can we expect? Let's zoom out a bit and take a look at the rental market and then see what the experts are forecasting for 2026. This is really a tale of two different markets. You've got the sales market, which is clearly cooling down, but then you have the rental market, which, well, it's still pretty hot. We've got way less inventory for rentals, and the median rent is still climbing. This actually creates an interesting pressure, because with rents going up, a lot of people who might have been renting are now taking a serious look at buying, especially now that the sales market is so much more favorable. So looking ahead, what's the expert consensus? Well, most are predicting a small, additional dip in home values before things really level out. They see mortgage rates hovering somewhere around 6%. And the big picture here, the main takeaway, is that Austin is normalizing. It's not crashing. It's just getting back to being a healthier, more sustainable market for everybody.
So, there you have it. We've seen the data, we've seen the trends. The frenzy is over, and a more balanced market is here. But the big question remains, is this cool down the new normal for Austin? Or is the market just, catching its breath? It's definitely going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.